We have a very special guest and a presentation that we think is going to be real valuable for all of you. This is a representative from the USHLI organization. He's going to be talking to you about some transitions, some goals, goal setting, moving from 8th grade to high school. A lot of really good information. So without further ado, Mr. Cardenas.
All right. So I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to stand behind this podium. I'm a little chaparrito, so I'm going to come out here in front if you all don't mind. Is that okay with everybody? Yeah. All right. First of all, thank you so much for being here today and allowing me to speak to you all and talk to you all a little bit about a few things, all right? Let me begin by introducing myself. My name is Adrian Calderon, and I represent the U.S. Hispanic Leadership Institute. It's a national nonprofit organization based out of Chicago. Hey, I can see everybody. We're based out of Chicago, Illinois, but check this out. I love my job because I get to travel all across this beautiful country. I've visited over 42 different states. I know, there's only a few of them that I'm missing. And each state that I go to, I meet with middle school students just like yourselves. I meet with high school students. I meet with undergraduate students. But we don't stop there. We meet with your teachers, your administrators, community members. We meet with your parents, tus abuelos, tus abuelas, your uncles, your aunts, your cousins, everyone in your family that has a role to play in your education. Because we believe in a little something called a culture of education. That's an understanding that everyone in your life today has a role to play to get you to that next level. And that's really what we're talking about here today, is what can we say right now to get you prepared for that next level? Transition, right? Because what's after, everyone in here is in 8th grade, right? What's after 8th grade? High school, right? And I'm sure you get the same usual questions. But before we get into it, I got to tell you all a little bit about myself personally. I'm a firm believer that the more you know about me, the more likely my message is going to get across. So I'm going to share some personal stories with you all, okay? First of all, let me do a quick little roll call here. Raise your hand if you come from a big family. Mira, okay. I don't mean big, I mean like there's a lot of you. All right. Keep your hand up. Check this out. Let's try this. Keep your hand up if you got 3 or more brothers or sisters at home. Keep them up if there's 4 or more of you. 5 or more? 6 or more? 7? 8? Okay, now you guys are just messing with me. 9? All right, put your hands down, put your hands down. Check this out. I am actually the youngest of 10. I know, it's crazy. Seriously, it starts with Juana Betorruti and Adrian. That's me on the bottom. I'm the baby in my family. And I mention this because I want to tell you that I learned a little something from each and every single one of them. I learned a little something from everyone in my family, right? I learned a little something from each and every single one of them, right? But before we get into that, I want to tell you all about my parents, all right? Because they worked hard. Do your parents work hard? You know they work hard, right? Sometimes we don't necessarily appreciate it all the time, but we know they work hard, right? My dad doesn't work a 9 to 5. My dad works a 9 to 9, 12-hour shifts. They immigrated here from Michoacan, Mexico back in 1968. This April, my dad is going to celebrate his 50th year in this country. That's a long time, right? But check this out. He worked a 9 to 9. What does that mean? That's a 12-hour shift. That meant that when he was at home, I was usually at school. When I was at home, he was usually at work. So sometimes I would go days, weeks without seeing my father. But even as the little mocoso that I was, I still knew he was working hard, right? I still knew he was working hard to put money on the table. But check this out. When he got home, man, my dad got to put his feet up and he got to relax. My mom, on the other hand, she didn't have a 9 to 5. She didn't have a 9 to 9. My mom worked odd jobs wherever she could find them. Do you guys know what I mean by odd jobs? I meant like for 3 months in the summer, my mom would work for the park district, you know? For 6 months, one semester, my mom would work at the elementary school cafeteria when they needed extra help. My mom was the neighborhood niñera. She was the neighborhood babysitter. So when the older kids or when the older parents would go off to work, they would drop off their kids at my house and my mom would watch them for them. That's my mom. She worked odd jobs wherever she could find them. And in between each of those odd jobs, my mom would stop and pick up empty cans and bottles and turn them into recycling to put a couple of cents on the table. My parents worked hard. They worked really hard. But check this out. My dad got home, he got to relax. When my mom get home, what did she get to do? She still had to cook for us. She still had to clean for us. My mom still had to discipline us. She had to do all those things, laundry included, right? My mom, now as an adult, I realize she only had 1 hour of free time. Do you guys know what I mean by free time? I'm talking about that free time that you use to binge Netflix, to watch a movie, to read a book, to play an instrument, to hang out with your friends, to play a sport. That's your free time. My mom probably had 1 hour where she could do whatever she wanted. 1 hour a day. Think about that. What do you think she did with that 1 hour? Sleep. Yeah, no, my mom sat on the couch and she watched her favorite novelas. Soap operas, right? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like growing up as a kid, when I heard, dos mujeres, un camino, like I knew, whoo, my mom is watching her soap operas. I gotta chill out. I gotta relax, right? I gotta step back. I knew when I heard that voice that my mom was focused. That was her 1 hour, and if I interrupted, I was gonna get it. So I behaved for that 1 hour, right? So that was my parents. They worked hard every day, all day. My mom especially, right? Now fast forward to me, being this little mocoso that I was. Let me introduce you to 8th grade Adrian, right? I thought I knew it all. I thought I had all the answers. People would come up to me around 6th, 7th, 8th grade and they would say, Mijo, you gotta think about your future. It would go in one ear and out the other. Mijo, you gotta think about who you're hanging around with. In one ear, out the other. You need to focus, Adrian. In one ear, out the other. Nothing was sticking. They would even be like, Mijo, it's cold outside. Put on a sweater. In one ear, out the other. Nothing was working. Nothing was sticking, right? So what does any good parent do? My mom, slap me. No, get out of here. My mom went to visit my school and she went to talk to my teachers. Because listen, my parents came to this country. My mother made it to the 6th grade. And my father made it to the 3rd grade. So by the time I got to your stage in life, middle school, they couldn't help me with my math homework, my science homework, my history homework, but they still pushed me. Me apoyaron. They still supported me because they knew the importance of an education, right? Your parents right now may not have the answers to get you to that next level, but they know it's important to get you to that next level. I want you to understand that. They may not be able to explain it to you fully, but they know it's important. And I know you all feel the same way. You know it's important to get an education, but you're not quite sure exactly how to say it, how to explain it. That's the situation I was in, right? So being the little mocoso that I was, nothing would stick. It would go in one ear, out the other. Finally, my mom, she saw this because my mom sees everything. She knew that I wasn't trying hard enough. Because you know what I was doing? I was coasting. I was coasting through school. Do you know what that means? That means I did the bare minimum. Because check this out. If you do really well in school, what happens? They put a spotlight on you, right? Oh, look at her grades. Look how awesome she's doing. She's going to have a great, bright future. Now, if you do bad in school, what do? They put a different light on you. Oh, look at her. She's doing really bad. She's not focusing. She's not thinking about who she's hanging around with. They put a spotlight on you. But check this out. If you do just the bare minimum, you get to coast. No one notices you. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to be left alone. Don't take a look at me. So I did the bare minimum. I could have done better. Sometimes I could have done worse, but I did the bare minimum just to get by. My mom saw that. Because moms see everything. Every time you try to hide something out, they always figure it out, man. Moms see everything. So my mom knew that I wasn't trying hard enough. So what does any parent do? She tries everything she could think of. Finally, she sets up a parent-teacher conference at my school, right? So she pops into the school and she talks to my teachers. She talks to my counselors. The principal gets involved. Everyone's going through my work. They're like, Senora, you have to sit him down and you have to have a conversation with him. So one day I get home from school, and who's sitting at the kitchen table with the dim light right there? My mom, right? So I walk up to her and she goes, Mijo, sit down, we're gonna have a conversation. She goes, Mijo, te tienes que enfocar. You gotta focus in one ear, out the other. Mijo, you gotta think about your future. In one ear, out the other. Think about who you're hanging around with, Adrian. In one ear, out the other. Nothing was sticking. Finally, I don't know where my mom came up with this idea, but she tried everything that she could think of. I don't know if this came to her in a dream or if maybe she saw it in one of those novelas or something like that. But she goes, Mijo, she tries something different. She goes, Mijo, let's make a bet. I was like, okay, cool, man. Let's make a bet. Let's go, Mom. Because I know I'm faster than her. I know I'm stronger than her, right? Like, I'm going to win whatever this bet is. You want to race from here to there? Let's go, Mom. I'm going to win, right? So I was like, bet, Mom, let's go. What's the bet? She goes, Mijo, when we came to this country, I only made it to the 6th grade. I bet I can get my GED before you finish 8th grade. And I said, okay. What does that mean to me? All I got to keep doing is the exact same thing I'm already doing. I just got to show up to class and coast and cruise through class. She's the one that's got to like change it up. I don't know how she's going to get into my 8th grade class. She's not going to get into my class. So I said, fine, whatever, Mom, bet. Let's do it, you know? Sure enough, a day goes by, a week goes by, a month goes by. I forget all about this bet, but I start to notice a change. I start to notice something different. My mom, who works all day, every day, only has 1 hour to do whatever she wants. I saw her turn off the TV and turn on the lamp. My mom started reading. My mom started writing. She started working on math problems. But check this out. What really got to me is my mom started asking me for help with my homework. She started asking me for help with her homework. She said, Mijo, can you help me translate this? Mijo, can you help me with this math problem? I can't quite get it. Mijo, I have this paper due in 2 weeks. Can you help me write it? My mom, who works all day, every day, only has 1 hour to do whatever she wants, and she's using it to better herself. The least I could do is try, right? The least I could do is try a little harder. And I'll be honest with you, I tried a little harder, little by little. Now, I didn't skyrocket. I didn't become on the honor roll. I didn't become the best student in the class, but I started doing a little better each and every day. And my mind started to expand a little. I started to think about my future. I started to think about who I was hanging around with, who are my real friends, and who's there just to hold me down. I started to think about all these amazing things, and my life started to change little by little each and every single day. And I thought one of the greatest moments in my life was 8th grade graduation. You guys looking forward to 8th grade graduation? Man, I know you are, because check this out. Everyone's going to be super dressed up. The guys are going to wear way too much cologne. I don't know why, but they always do, right? Your family's going to be there. They're going to embarrass you. They're going to call you by your nickname that you've been hoping no one hears. Like, that's my gordito, what's up? Or, you know, that's just family does, right? So I knew that day was coming, and I got dressed up to the nines, and I was ready to go. I shook my principal's hand. I grabbed my diploma, and I jump off stage because the first person I want to find is my mom. And I want to say, thank you, Mom. I love you. Te quiero mucho. It's all because of you. You helped me realize that I could do better, that I can do a little better each day. I love you. And it was going to be the beautiful day of my life. The sky was going to clear out. The sun was going to be shining. Birds were going to be flying. It was going to be perfect. And it was a good day. But I got to tell you about an even better day. 2 weeks later, I walk into this tiny little community center. Really low ceilings. The desks were like half broken. And my mom stood in front of her peers and her friends, and she got her GED. That's when I realized that my mom had taught me a life lesson. No matter how busy we all think we are, no matter how much drama is going on in our lives, we can always do a little better. You know? We can always try a little harder, but it's up to us to make the most of it. We can always do a little better. That's a life lesson that I take with me everywhere I go. All the 42 different states. When I'm traveling, man, it's hard to travel because you stand in lines for a long time. I get on an airplane for 2-3 hours, get into a really bad hotel for a couple of hours, come out here and speak to students just like yourselves. It gets hard. You're away from your family, but I remember that I can always try a little harder. And I take that to heart. I want you all to take that to heart too. Think about all the stuff that is going on in your lives right now, today, and realize that how much free time you have. Make the most of your free time. Make the most of the free time that you have. Make the most of your resources, because there are people, just like in my life, that are working very hard to get you where you are here today. Think about that, okay? So that's what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the transition, right? Because we got a bunch of 8th graders right here in this house, right? You guys basically run this school, right? You guys know all the tricks. You know how to get seconds at lunch. You know which teachers to avoid in the hallway. You know how to get out of class a little bit early. You know all that stuff, right? You're the kings and queens of this school. But check this out. Next year is going to be different, right? Next year, you're going to be freshmen. Oh, you're going to be bottom of the totem pole right there, right? You got to start all over, kid. The kids are going to be bigger than you. They're going to be stronger than you, right? But check this out. I want you to focus on that transition today, all right? I'll give you an example. We're going to use an analogy, right? We're going to use a spectrum, right? You all know what that is, right? A spectrum. I want you to think about 4 years ago, where were you? 5th grade, 4th grade? Is that about right? I want you to think about some of the movies you used to watch in 4th grade. SpongeBob, yeah? Big Hero 6, yeah? Oh, I love that movie too, right? Think about the music you used to listen to 4 years ago. Oh my God, it's embarrassing, don't tell anybody, right? There's a big change. Check this out. I want you to think about the kind of decisions you made 4 years ago. Did you get to decide when you went to bed? Probably not, right? Did you always get to decide what you were going to wear that day? No. Did you get to decide how much you were going to eat or what you were going to eat? Did you get to choose what was going to play on the radio on the car ride? No, right? But check this out. 4 years now, that seems like that was just yesterday. 4 years later, you're making those decisions. You're choosing what you're going to wear that day. Some of you get to decide what time you're going to go to bed. Some of you control and operate that radio like masters, right? Like the second you walk in, you know you're controlling it, right? Think about it. Even your musical tastes have changed, right? Now you're listening to more adult things. You're preteens. You're young adults. Every 4 years, you're going to make more and more decisions. And that's what I want you to think about. I want you to think about all those decisions, because check this out. Right now, you're making a couple of adult decisions. But in 4 years, you're going to be old enough to drive. You're going to be old enough to vote. You're going to start thinking about where you're going to college. Because in 4 years, where are you going to be? Seniors in high school or college, right? Oh my God. And it's going to happen quick. And I want you to be prepared for that. I want you to start thinking about that, all right? I want you to start thinking about the next 4 years, because it's going to happen quickly. Now, listen, I asked earlier about families, right? Raise your hand if you're the oldest in your family. Mira? Okay, big brother, big sister, right? Put your hands down. I want to talk to you all about my older brother, my older sister, right? Because in my family, when you're the big brother and sister, it's my way or the highway, you know? Hey man, I'm in charge of you, so you're going to listen to what I'm doing, and we're going to do it this way, right? And you used to hate that, because when you would want to go hang out with your friends, what would your parents say? Take your little brother with you. Oh, so annoying, you know? I know. But check this out. I'm saying all of that Because there's a certain responsibility to being the oldest, right? There's a certain responsibility, and there's a certain type of leadership. That's what I want to talk to you all about right now. There's an older brother or older sister leadership that I want to discuss, right? When you're the older brother or sibling, what happens? It's my way or the highway, right? You've been through it, so you know, right? You've been through it, so you know what to expect. And you're trying to help them out, but sometimes they just don't want to listen, right? So you say it's my way or the highway. That's one type of leadership, where it's, I've been there, I've done it, I know which way to move forward. Now do me a favor, raise your hand if you're the youngest in your family. Mira, you can always tell the babies, you know why? Because they're the cutest ones in the family, man, yeah. All right, check this out. The younger ones, tell me if this is correct. You get away with everything. You get whatever you want. You get to do whatever you want, right? No hand-me-downs for you, right? Everything's brand new. Check this out. Let me get your attention. There's a certain kind of leadership for the youngest in the family. The youngest in the family, they tend to try to do things different. Hey, you're talking to them and you're like, hey, we've always done it this way. And they're like, nope, I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to do it a brand new way. They think outside the box. That's a great way to think about things, to think outside the box and try new things, try new methods, right? Sometimes they say, forget about what's worked before. I'm going to clear everything out and we're going to start brand new, right? That's the second type of leadership, right? New ideas, forget the past. Now, do me a favor. Raise your hand if you're the middle child. Oh, pobrecitos. Oh, the middle child. The forgotten ones, you know? Always forgotten. Listen, I come from a big family, and check this out. When we used to go grocery shopping, we would all load up in my dad's blue Astro van, and we would all go to the mercado, right? We would all go to the grocery store, and every one of us got like an item. Like, you're gonna handle the bread, you're gonna handle the meats, you're gonna handle the cereal, and you're gonna handle the snacks, right? And we would go, all right, everyone hands in, break. And we would all disappear into the supermarket. We would all get our items and bring them together. But of course, the middle child, who's so super quiet, is always forgotten. So we would load up into the car, and my parents would do like a count of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, someone's missing, who's missing? And they'd be like, oh, we forgot Evelyn. We left her at the store. So we would run back to the store, and where was Evelyn? She was hanging out there eating her hot Cheetos and Takis the whole time in the grocery store, right? She was calm. The rest of us were nervous, but we forgot about her. I want to talk about the middle child. Now check this out. My sister was quiet, but she could also navigate the older kids, but she could roll with the younger ones. Do you know what I mean? She could talk to the older ones and hear their advice, but she could also give advice to the younger ones. That's the middle way. She understood the history of what's worked before, but she also was open to new ideas. That was my sister. That's the middle type of leadership that I want you all to focus on. Be that middle child, because that middle child is able to navigate between those two spectrums. I mean, sometimes you got to be the boss and say it's my way or the highway. And other times you got to say, hey, we got to think about this differently. We got to think outside the box. I'm asking you all to be that middle child. Stay in the center. Be able to navigate both sides. That's the type of leadership that I want you all to take with you. And I'll give you an example of that, all right? Of what you can learn from your older siblings. Because the truth is, I'm only here because of those that came before me. Now, I told you all about my parents. And I told you that I'm the youngest of 10. But what I forgot to mention is that I have 7 sisters. I know. Like, I still haven't seen our bathroom. I have no idea what it looks like. I've never been in there. People told me stories about it. I don't know what it is. But I grew up with 7 sisters and 2 brothers. Each of the boys are 10 years apart from each other. 10 years apart. That's a big difference. That's a big gap. But check this out. Because there was such a big difference and a big gap, Like, I looked up to my brother. I idolized them. I know some of you are thinking, I hate my older brother. He's always picking on me. He makes my life terrible. But there's also a part of you that knows that you love him, that you love your older sister, and you know they're going to be there for you, right? So check this out. When you're 10 years difference, when I was in middle school, he was already off to college. He was exactly who I wanted to be. I wanted to be treated like him, like an adult. I wanted to make all those adult decisions. I wanted to watch whatever R-rated movie I wanted to, right? And no one could tell me otherwise. Because remember, I was that little mocoso that, hey, está frío afuera, put on a sweater. No, I'm cool, man, I'm strong. I can do it, right? That's who I was. And my brother, he was big and strong. He was popular. He was the cutest guy in the neighborhood, man. He could do no wrong. I wanted to be just like him. Like, I even tried to get the same fade that he got, but mine was like all messed up. Don't laugh at me, that was heartbreaking. So I tried to get the same hair as him. I try to listen to the same music as him. I try to watch the same movies as him. I even try to wear the same clothes as him. I even once tried to date the same girls he was dating. Like, that's how crazy he was, right? That was my brother. My brother could do no wrong. My big brother Freddie could do no wrong. I wanted to be just like him. And one day, he pulls up into my neighborhood. Like, where I come from, Chicago, we call it the block, right? La Cuadra. Right? And let me paint a picture for you, because maybe you guys can relate to this. I don't know what your neighborhood is like, but in my neighborhood, like, you had like different levels. Do you know what I mean? Like, the little kids would always be playing with chalk on the sidewalks, playing double dutch or hopscotch or whatever. The older kids would be playing football or soccer in the streets, bumping into cars, stopping traffic. There's always the old señoras that would be looking out your window like, mira, ¿qué están haciendo? All in your business. Do you know what I mean? Like, mira, ¿qué están haciendo? Oh my God. ¿Cómo la dejan a jugar así? You know, all in your business, right? That was my community. That was my neighborhood. They would always be up in your business. So on a beautiful spring day, everybody was out. The kids were playing hopscotch. The older kids, we were stopping traffic, playing football in the street, bumping into cars. The señoras were out there, like, scoping the whole place out. It was crazy. My brother pulls up, shoom, right to the front stoop. And he says these words. He goes, Adrian, let's go for a cruise. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go cruising with my brother. Let's go, Freddie, let's go. I'm excited, man. So I come in there because in my head, I already picture me rolling with the sunglasses, like saying what's up to everybody, right? I was gonna make all my friends jealous. And sure enough, I pull in and then I cruise through and I'm like, what's up, Tony? What's up, man? I see you. ¿Qué pasó, Nico? What's up, man? What's going on, man? I was having a blast, right? I'm with my big brother. And then out of the corner of my eye, 3 of the prettiest girls in the neighborhood pull up. I don't know why, but girls always travel in threes. I don't know why, what that's about, but there's always 3 of them. So these 3 girls are right there. And my brother notices that my demeanor changes. I start to shrink in. I start to get nervous. I'm like sweating a little. I'm shaking. He's freaking out, but he doesn't skip a beat. He opens up the glove box and he hands me a stick of gum. I pop the gum in my mouth. I throw the wrapper out the window. I'm like, let's go, Freddie, let's go. I got my mojo back, right? I'm like, let's do it, man. So we're cruising through and then he stops the car. Not at a stop sign, not at an intersection, in the middle of the streets. And I'm like, what are you doing, man? They're getting away, let's go. He goes, why'd you do that? I go, why'd I do what? He goes, why'd you throw out that wrapper? The gum wrapper? That's what you're worried about? Come on, man, let's keep going. They're right there. He goes, get out and pick it up. Nah, man. You're going to embarrass me in front of all my boys. Nico's over there laughing at me already. Let's go, man. He goes, get out or I'm going to make you get out. So what do, right? I get out of the car, and sure enough, I'm looking for this wrapper, and I try to play it off like, quickly pick it up. I put it in my pocket. I'm so mad. I'm so frustrated. I'm sitting in the front seat. My skin is turning red. I'm pulling out my hair. My messed up fade is getting irritated, you know, and I'm frustrated, and I'm so mad, and I'm so angry because this man that I looked up to, this man that I idolized, the man who could do no wrong, just did me wrong in front of the whole neighborhood. That's when he leans over and he goes, Adrian, we live in a community that may not be the cleanest. It may not even be the safest. But it's up to you to make the most of it. It's up to you to make the most of this situation. Because whether you like it or not, this community is going to shape you into the person you eventually become. It's going to shape you into the leader we all know you can be. That's deep, right? But check this out. I didn't get it right away. I was still mad. I didn't get it that week. I didn't get it that month. I didn't get it that year. It wasn't until I went away to college that I realized what he was saying. We have to make the most of our resources. We have to make the most of what's in front of us because it's going to better us in the end. We have to make the most of what we have available to us. We have to continue to ask for more resources. My brother taught me that little wrapper represented me taking pride in where I come from. Because I will be honest with you, throwing out that little wrapper meant nothing to me. And now, even as an adult, I can't stand to litter or throw anything down because I know that's a representation of what I feel about that place. Some of you may litter in your school right now, and that's because you don't respect where you come from. You got to have a respect and understanding of where you come from and make the most of your resources. Being here today, listening to what I'm saying, this is a resource. Some of you are kind of spaced out and thinking about other things. And that's okay. That's your prerogative. That's your decision. I want you to make the most of what's in front of you. Make the most of the situation that's in front of you. My brother taught me a life lesson that day, and I will tell you, it's not the last one, and he's not the only one. There are people in your lives today that are helping you get to that next level. That's why I'm here today, right? We talked about what life was like 4 years ago. We briefly talked about what life is going to be like 4 years from now. I'll give you another example. Thanksgiving's coming around the corner, right? Everyone's excited for Thanksgiving, right? I want you to think about what Thanksgiving was like for you 4 years ago. What was it like? I'll tell you what it was like. It was one giant party where you ran around the house with all your cousins and you slammed every door that you could think of. You ran up and down the stairs. You ran all the way around and then ended with a giant feast. That's what most of us remember, right? 4 years ago, you ran around everywhere. And now what do? Now when this time coming around, guess what you're going to do? You're going to find one spot with the TV and you're going to play some video games with your friends. You're going to play some video games with your cousins. You're going to stay in one spot because your situation has changed. I want you to realize how much can change in 4 years. I want you to think about your family when you come up there because everyone that's going to be there around the table, they're the ones that are caring for you. They're part of your culture of education. That's why we're here today. We're here to talk about making the most of your situation. We're here to talk about leadership, the different types of leaderships that are available. And of course, making the most of your resources, right? Making the most of your resources. I'll leave you with this last set of messages, okay? I'm a firm believer that the more you write about what you want to accomplish, the more likely it is to come true. Let me say that again. The more you write down what your goals and dreams are, the more likely you are to achieve them. Now, that's not a magic trick. I'm not telling you to go home and write down 10,000 times, I'm going to win the lottery. That's not what I'm saying. It doesn't work that way. What ends up happening is when you write down your goals and dreams, you're more likely to achieve them because you figure out the steps in between. Here I am standing right here. My goal and dream is that exit sign. That's being a lawyer. That's being an astronaut. That's being a computer science engineer. I can't make that in one giant step, right? I have to figure out the steps in between. And the more you write about it, the more likely you are to achieve it. I have a challenge for you all. When you go home this weekend for Thanksgiving, everyone's going to ask you the same question, and you're tired of it. How's school? And what's your response? Good. It's okay. I'm doing all right. Do you like school? Yeah. Do you like school? No. Right? Those are your one answers. I challenge you all. Take a moment today or tomorrow. Write one paragraph. One paragraph. One paragraph. That's easy. Just write down what your goals and dreams are. And when they ask you this Thursday, how's school? Be like, hey, I wrote about it. Here you go. Share it with them. Their eyes are going to light up. They're going to freak out. They're going to be like, whoa, she's serious. She knows what she wants to do. Their attitudes about you are going to change. And that's what you got to do. You got to change people's attitudes about yourselves. You got to come prepared. You got to start thinking about the future. You got to start thinking about the next year, right? You have to think about your focus. You have to think about who you're hanging around with. You have to think about your future. I'm a firm believer that the more you write things down, the more likely you are to achieve them. Okay? Now, I'm going to share one last story with you all. Do you guys want to hear one more? Yeah. All right, check this out. So, I already told you that my parents immigrated to this country. Father made it to 3rd grade. My mother made it to 6th grade, but she got her GED. By the way, can we give my mom a big round of applause for getting her GED? Thank you. She got her GED. I told you that I am the youngest of 10, and then I told you I got 7 sisters, and then I got 2 brothers 10 years apart. Told you about my older brother, Freddie, who taught me a life lesson about making the most of your resources. But check this out. Every summer, every year that I was in middle school, we would always take the same summer vacation. And it meant visiting our family back in Mexico. And we would do the long drive from Chicago, Illinois, all the way through Little Rock, Arkansas, go in through Texas and Laredo, and then drive all the way down to Michoacan, Mexico, in central Mexico. That's a long, long time to be in a van with 10 other people. Like even if you try to avoid it, you always got a pata in the face, right? You got a foot in your face, everyone's always sleeping, but it was a blast. It was a good time. But I will tell you that being around all of my siblings, I was always the last one. Do you know what I mean? Last one's a rotten egg. I was always the rotten egg. I kid you not. Well, it's because they were bigger than me. They were faster than me. Here's my little legs trying to catch up to them, right? There's no way I can beat them. So every time we would go somewhere, they'd be like, last one's a rotten egg, and they would run off without me. One time, we visited my grandmother in Morelia, Michoacan, and they had a beautiful zoo. You guys have been to the zoo before, right? Like, you know, whenever you go, sometimes there's that one animal you want to see that's like hiding. They don't come out. Check this out. This zoo was so awesome, and it was such a beautiful day. Every animal was out. I mean, the penguins were out, the rhinoceros was out, the giraffe was out, the panda was out. It was a wide range of animals. Every animal was out, and we were having a blast. I was having a great time. They weren't picking on me as much as they used to, and it was fun, right? So fast forward, towards the end of the day, my parents got a little surprise for us. They go, hey, who wants to go for a horseback ride? I was like, yeah, I'm excited. Let's do it. I've always wanted to be on a horse. My dad used to talk about that horse that he used to have as a little kid, and I always wanted to ride one. I don't know how to ride a horse, but I always wanted to ride one because I pictured myself, galloping in slow motion with long hair and all that stuff, right? It was going to be beautiful, right? Like Black Beauty, going through the whole thing. And I got so excited. And guess what my older brother said? He said, last one there is a rotten egg. And they took off. And there I am when my tiny little leg is trying to run up after them. And sure enough, I'm the last one. Now remember, there's 10 of us. There's a lot of us, right? So we get to the place, and there's the guy, and pobre señor, he's like, 1, 2, 3. Oh my God, so there's so many of them. They run out of horses. Everyone gets a horse except for guess who? Me. So what do you do when you're younger, when you're in 6th grade and 5th grade? You have a tantrum, right? So I started to get mad, and I started to turn red, and I was frustrated, and everyone was laughing at me, and it got worse, and it was just like a circle. The more I got upset, the more they laughed at me. The more they laughed at me, the more I got upset. And it just got worse and worse. And then finally, I just said, calm down, relax. I'm talking to myself. Be calm, relax. Maybe if you're calm, they'll do it, and they'll come back for you. But don't cry. Don't show them that you're crying. When you're trying to breathe real fast and you're trying to fight it, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry, right? So I was fighting it, and sure enough, I calmed myself down, and I just sat down quietly, and I waited my turn, right? And they're all pointing and laughing at me, and they're jumping up high on their horses, and, you know, they're just kind of striding along. And the guy who was in charge of it, he sees me, and he goes, oh, man, I feel bad for this kid. So I don't know what got up to him, but he's like, hey, why don't you come with me? And I go, I don't know you, man. I'm not going to come with you. And he goes, yeah, come with me. So I kind of like lean on over him. And then sure enough, you know, I remember I told you it was a beautiful sunny day. When the sun hits the shade, the roof of the stables, it's like total blackness. So he goes into that and he envelops himself in blackness. And I can't see anything. All I hear is, "Nyeh." I go, what in the world is that? And here he comes out pulling out an animal. And it wasn't a horse. He pulls out a llama. A llama. And I go, I only know one thing about llamas, that you don't look at them in the eyes because they will spit at you, right? So I see this llama and I'm doing this, walking closer. Because what do you do when you see a new animal? You make sure they smell you, they get comfortable. And sure enough, there I am trying to like, smell me, man, smell me, right? Not looking at him, and I'm trying to get comfortable. And sure enough, I start to get comfortable and I go, okay, I think I could do this. Just give me like 5 more minutes and I'll be good. This guy picks me up, slams me on top of the llama. The llama starts moving. Like horses, they gallop. Llamas, they shake, right? And like back then, I had like a mushroom haircut, so it was long on both sides. So it was flapping like almost like I was flying. So there it is, flapping and lying. And my brothers and sisters see this, and they're laughing at me. And I'm freaking out, and I'm turning red. And the guy feels bad for me. So he's like, let me make sure this guy has a memorable day. He smacks the llama. The llama ends up taking off. Here I am. I'm really taking off now. I'm flying all over the place. Everyone's laughing at me. I'm passing up my older brothers and sisters, and they're pointing and laughing at me. And before I realize I'm going so fast, I'm beating everyone around the track. And I'm having a wonderful, beautiful time. And I finally come to the end of it, and I realize that was an exciting trip. And I realize now that I love that story because I learned that whenever things seem to look bad, it's important that you take the moment to step back, calm yourself, and people around you will help you. People around you will help you get to the next level. You can't always expect things to go your way. Sometimes you have to make the best of the situations. You guys like that story? All right. So today we talked about leadership, taking the different types of leaderships to get you to different levels, right? I want you all to be like my sister Evelyn, the middle child, right? Don't be like my older sister Juana, who bosses everyone around. Don't be like me, who thinks outside of the box. I want you to be like my sister Evelyn, who navigates both sides, thinks outside the box, but also realizes who's come before them. Now, I told you all about my family, but here's the last part that I haven't told you. My family, there's 10 of us. Only 5 of us made it to college. That's half of us. We're batting 500. For baseball, that's great. But for grades, it's basically an F, right? Or a D minus. But it's not because the older siblings didn't have what it takes to get to college. It just means that for whatever reason, the obstacles that they had in front of them were too much for them. So I realize now as an adult that I stand on their shoulders. Those of you that raised your hand that said you're the older sibling, you have a responsibility to your younger siblings. You have to set the example. And I know it's a tough burden to carry, but you got to carry it for them because they're going to appreciate it in the long run. Those of you that are the youngest, appreciate your older brothers and sisters. Appreciate what they do for you on a regular basis. Make the most of that situation. Now, 5 of us went to college. Out of the 5 of us, 4 went into education. They're teachers. They're teachers from kindergarten all the way through high school. And they're married to other teachers. And they all teach within a 25-mile radius of where we grew up. So my family is deep in education, because we believe in a culture of education and understanding that everyone in your life has the potential to play a role to get you to that next level. I can't say this enough. Right now, you guys are kings and queens of this school. You know how this place operates. Next year, you're going to have to start all over. But it's not scary. It's exciting. It's fun. You're going to make more decisions every single day. Your decisions are going to get bigger and bigger. But it's up to you to start thinking about them. It's up to you to be able to take yourself outside of the situation and see everything that's working around you. All right? I hope you all enjoyed my presentation. If you enjoyed the presentation, let me know by a big round of applause. Thank you. Appreciate it. I have time for just a couple of questions. If you all have any questions or concerns, you want to know more about my family, let me know. Any questions? No? You got one question? Go ahead. Oh, I said all the names. You didn't hear me? It's Juana, Beto, Ruti, Oralia, Evelyn, Veronica, Elizabeth, Alfredo, Adrian. Woo, man. Can I tell you guys how I got my name? So check this out. My parents were so exhausted and tired by the time I came around, I was a big surprise. That they're like, hey, man, I've named 9 of them. I'm out of names. You guys name them. So they let my brothers and sisters pick my name. Can you believe that? Like, my name could have been Rex, for all I know. Who knows? It would have been Tiger, whatever they're into. But they all put a name on a piece of paper, and they put it into a hat, and they pulled out Adrian. And that's how I got my name. So they all participated and joined. So that's what it's about. Family, whether you're having a great time with them or not, I want you to reflect on it this weekend. Thursday, it's a big deal. You all get together. Some of you, it's very often. For some of you, it's going to be once a year. Make the most of the situation. Share your ideas and stories with them. Let them know when they ask you how school's going, be honest with them. Share with them, and you'll see that there's a difference. You'll see that they're engaged, that they want to learn more about you. All right? Thank you all so much. I appreciate it. Have a big give yourselves a big round of applause. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you guys. We are going to dismiss by groups because I don't want a mob scene over here. So let's have this side go first. Everybody else stay seated, please.